Still, Parting held on very nicely to
So
start.
now we're going to be heading into game number 2. Liquid Rhett down 0-1, and the map he chooses is Daybreak, which I think is a very smart decision by him. He has plenty of room to get that macro mode up and running.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned that yesterday we saw Rhett win. I know you casted that one with Rob Simpson, and it was kind of a deviation from what Rhett was going to do in his challenge, but it also shows that that particular style of play, something that Rhett is very comfortable with, seemed to work out, especially versus Parting. I wonder if we're going to see something like this on a map that would likely cater a little bit better to a strategy like that.
So in the top right position, Parting spawns. In the bottom left position, Rhett. You know, I really think that it's one of those losses that can be a little frustrating. You think to yourself, oh, man, oh, gosh, Parting, he's too good and all that stuff. But at all points in time, you see Rhett fumble a little bit and then pull back in such a way that he almost looks as though he was inches away. We saw that loss to Naniwa, where Naniwa ended up going carriers. Rhett made the right adjustment. In this game, or in this series, that 6th gate against Parting, again, I really think if Rhett just gets that roach speed up a little earlier, that ling speed up a little earlier, and just thinks about looking for it, he's going to be in great shape.
You know, the other thing, too, is that Rhett only had, like, the one Overlord there to actually scout the Stargate in the last game, and beyond that, he didn't have any way to get vision of what was going to be following up to that. And, you know, the Stargate was almost just more a distraction and annoyance than anything.
Oh, yeah.
As, you know, it didn't really do any damage, but it forced Rhett to react. He had his queens kind of all over, the additional spores. I mean, it was just solid by Party. But here we are now, like you said, on Daybreak. The Overlord's already heading out to get in a position where, of course, he is going to be able to scout not only into the natural, but also into the main as well. The Nexus goes down first, similar to the last game, and to be expected. Here we have this third all the way over in the far west for Rhett.
That's a brilliant timing by Rhett. Essentially what Rhett does is he sends the drone out to build at the third, as though that's always been his intention. He literally got 300 minerals right as he arrived, and what does he do? If he sees the probe chase him, he just builds it as natural. Really nice, smart little move there by Rhett. And, you know, I want to talk about that air move that we saw last game.
Sure.
I mean, you think that if you build the air units, you're going to try to do damage with the air units. That's one way of doing it. But like you said, the other way to do damage is by forcing the wrong composition from your opponent. And that's a very common thing that just runs throughout StarCraft strategy. I'm going to go air and force him to make Hydralisk, and then I will go Colossus. I'm going to open Mutalisk, force him to build too many Lings, so I can go Ling Baneling afterwards and be fairly effective. If you don't force your opponent down certain compositions, your strategy, predicting his strategy becomes nearly impossible, and controlling him becomes nearly impossible. And that's why aggression is such a critical part of any level of play.
Now the natural goes up as well for Rhett, and over there in Parting's base, we see the Psycore go up as per usual. But that third and the timing of it, as you mentioned, it is already complete. He's going to be sending a queen over there as well, built from the main. And the second queen popping out will, of course, just go ahead and take her place. Meanwhile, just droning up, going with that gasless style at this point. Has an Overlord in his base, I mean, wide open, because he knows exactly where Parting is at this time. The other Overlord just below his natural, just look just a little bit further, is going to get in a great position in case any tech does go back here as well. But he'll want to be active with those Lings. We already see that +1 coming out for Parting. Yeah. For even, what, a single unit? We have like a Zealot out, and that's it, or even that.
Uh-oh, it looks like it may very well be the 5 Chrono Boost Cyber Core push. This is a very, very fun push to do in this matchup. You spend a ton of Chrono Boosts on this Warp Gate and a little bit on this +1 attack upgrade, and then what happens? You easily get your Warp Gate done before 8 minutes, around 7:40, 7:45, and you can put pressure on this third base, and it's very difficult for the Zerg to even really have a bunch of roaches up at that point in time. But Rhett knows the key timing he needs is to build his Roach Warren around 7 minutes.
All right, well, we have Ling running away here. And now, as you mentioned, or as you were talking about attacking that third, I mean, that's also dependent on a pylon getting up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So true. I mean, if Rhett can just block pylons, he will have successfully deflected this push. And all we got to do is go to Parting's vision and say, where's the probe? Is there a probe anywhere nearby? And it looks like no, there was not that probe nearby there, so that means it looks like Rhett is going to get himself to a nice mid-game. Double assimilator from Parting would indicate that the push has effectively been abandoned. There's still going to be a probe coming up, though. This means that he'll kind of do, I guess, a weaker-ish warp gate.
Yep, here we have the probe just at the top of this ramp. Meanwhile, the warp gates are finishing up here for Parting, so this base could likely be under attack. Oh, the Zerglings did find it, and that means he's going to force a cancel out of it. Actually, maybe not, as we've got Stalker coming up from behind, and the Zealot here as well.
Really good for Rhett.
Yeah.
Rhett would love for these pylons to finish. He has the roaches already coming up. He can do plenty of damage with these roaches. His timing is very slick. There's the spine coming up. Lings and roaches galore coming out, and Rhett has not yet started his layer, though, so that is the one benefit that Parting also is gaining here.
And he's going to immediately go after the Spinecrawler. Might need to get a cancel on that. Is not going to be canceled. Taken out by the Zealots, but the Roaches are here. As long as he micros those back. Ling's out as well. Going to take out those back Zealots. And if the Stalker's left all alone, he should have no problem with these Lings and these Roaches. More Zealots moving in here. And like you mentioned, he handles it nicely with that timing of the Roach Warren.
Now, the one thing that Rhett may have wanted to do differently is get this layer a little bit sooner. He would love Roach speed right now, but at this point, Parting is actually just showing how aggressive you can be with this style. At this point, Liquid Rhett's also acknowledging that there could be some sort of Dark Templar play. He's building Spore Crawlers very smartly all around his bases. In the main, he has an Evolution Chamber. Ooh, just starting +1 attack as I glance over at it. Pretty good defense by Rhett.
Yeah, Parting still has those pylons out, but of course, Rhett now going to be cleaning them up. Already taken one down, going to take this other one down. Not sure he knows about this one near the rocks at his natural. With the probe there, he could warp in on top, but there'd really not be any reason to, other than maybe just a scout to see, possibly try to get in the main. I'm not sure, because obviously with the Roaches out, that's going to be easily squashed, and those Roaches now moving around. There, the Roach speed finally begins as the lair completes. Just take a quick look, 74 drones to 47. This is exactly where Rhett wants to be at this point.
Oh,
really,
wow.
really showcasing his macro.
This is a bone-crushingly good position for Liquid Rhett, getting all those defenses up that he needs. Will he go for a fast Overseer? Wow, spotting that pylon, very sharp eye. Sending the Zerglings around, continuing to poke and prod. And with this many pylons around the map, it's kind of funny. You as the player say, oh yeah, I better scout for pylons. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Rhett do a little poke here. And oh, is he going to be happy that that Expo isn't up. Burrowing a Ling there soon, Marcus.
Yeah, exactly. Burrow's halfway done, Sean, and that's like just one of the greatest things that you can do, especially in a situation where the Protoss has not gotten their robo yet. You can see here the Parting did have one just complete, and he's going to move down and actually be able to remove that Ling before it actually gets his Burrow, and that means he can set up his third.
And it looks like 7 gateways out right now for Parting, just going for the very general Stalker Sentry defense. What is the other big advantage? The +2 upgrade, one of those critical upgrades in this matchup. Always want to be trying to get as far ahead as possible. Evolution Chambers going down ++ ups. He is getting that Infestor tech and realizing, oh man, if I want to go Broodlord Infestor, I better spread my creep out way more.
Yeah, Roach speed finishes up, and, you know, he really does need to. I mean, that's a great observation because right now he's not really connected. He could be using his Overlords to kind of accelerate that creep spread as we do see a few moving out here on the map. Another pylon's been placed in the south side of the map, and more units are coming out. But look at with speed, Roach speed, +1 is done. Got Pathogen Glands on the way, 10 more Roaches. This should be handled quite easily by Rhett.
Yeah, as long as Rhett can get some good Infestor, blast down, and some good angles, and some Overlords.
Yeah, I mean, actually, yeah, with the force fields, too, he's got to be careful here.
Oh, Rhett with a great Ling counterattack, realizing how amazing of a position he's in. He's going to seize that opportunity. Oh, into the natural. He goes, and into the main. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, he goes right in. Meanwhile, the fight at the beginning, or at the front of the base, and honestly, the force fields end up doing probably more harm to Parting as the Lings continue to rip apart the inside of that main, forcing all of the probes back while this fight is happening at the natural. All of the sentries are nearly demolished here at this point. We've got 17 more Roaches, and the Infestor is going to start popping out as well. Even a single fungal on that unit will be a big advantage here for Rhett.
Oh, Rhett The king of drones making so many good decisions here, and of course fundamentals are his key. Counterattacking in the right spot, knowing he had that lead is exactly what's helping him in this situation. He's continuing to keep those Lings alive despite managing this battle on two fronts, running back into that worker line. Absolutely phenomenal focus there by Rhett. Rallying down, a little bit of a misstep. This is actually overconfidence stepping in because Rhett realized how good of a spot he's in, and oh, a nice fungal. Easily nabbing all those stalkers, and the natural, he still has the Lings alive.
Oh yeah, I mean the Zealots have been warped in, but he's just been running back and forth. He's taken out a total of 20 probes.
So good. Rhett now doubling Parting's food, parting with the 2-1 upgrades, a superior upgrade lead, allowing him to stay in this game a little bit longer, but I don't know how much longer it's going to be, Marcus, because Rhett is continuing to barrel down 12 roaches at a time.
Yeah, I mean, so many coming out.
And a good
there
game.
It is. GG.
You know, it's so funny to think that Rhett has been trying to practice late game again and again and again because his strong mid game would always falter before Broodlords. And what's been happening? He keeps ending up against Parting in the mid game, where he's either narrowly winning or, in this case, tying up the series with a win 1-1.
Yeah, had some really, really key moments there, identifying the pylons, seeing that force coming forward, the timing of that speed, the +1, and the infestors
so
coming
impeccable.
out. I mean, great job. And then not to mention just showing how powerful a Ling run-by can actually be, especially right after a warp-in where suddenly none of the warp gates are on cooldown. There can't be a Zealot warped in there at that choke, or we can't get a Sentry in there to throw down a force field, and that just did an enormous amount of damage in the grand scheme of things. So great play by Liquid Red. That will make the score 1-1 for a tie up here in this last round of 8 matchup.